Sunflowers were very special for Van Gogh. Yellow was the color of happiness for him, and in the Netherlands, sunflowers were a symbol of loyalty and devotion. Let's take a look at how Van Gogh used a lot of his work with bright and unmixed colors. This is our inspiration as we get started making our own sunflower picture. Let's start off by beginning with a piece of paper to use for a table, a colored piece of paper as well to be used for our vase. And as I drew it, look at where the fold line is so that your project, when it's cut, is symmetrical. It's the same on both sides. There. Now take a moment and glue that down to the patterned table. Wonderful. Now, when I'm going to get started on making my flowers, I grabbed some Model Magic and started thinking about different shapes and designs inspired by those sunflower shapes. Some of them might be round or circular, some of them had petals that were pointing off of the edge, and some of them were just different kinds of shapes and petal shapes and designs. So I just tried using as many different ideas, thinking about the seeds in the center of the flowers, and started using my pencil to make some of those details that my fingers couldn't make. It's okay to leave some circular, some round, some pointed, and just have fun creating and designing your own flowers and leaves with your Model Magic clay. The other thing that you might notice is that I did not add any glue to the bottoms of my flowers. I noticed that as I pushed that down onto the paper, the Model Magic stuck on its own. If you find that you want to add some glue to it, either now or after it's dried, that would be a good time to glue your project down together. But if you're like me and press down onto the paper, you might find that your flowers stick just fine. Thinking about Van Gogh's pictures and how his paint was always put on with thick brush strokes, I didn't want my background to just be one solid color. In fact, I almost wanted to give it more of a painterly look. So I grabbed some oil pastels and started designing my background. I also thought this will give my Model Magic a chance to start drying and firming up a little bit so that it will be ready to paint very soon. Now, I'm going to go ahead and grab a few different colors of paint and just fill in some of that negative space around my flowers. Again, just trying to give it more of a painterly look, a little bit more interest for visually looking at my project. White does a nice job of blending some colors together, as well as black does a good job defining. So I'm going to go ahead and start building my colors from lightest. Then I'm going to go ahead and start adding in some darker values as well. I noticed that a lot of Van Gogh's vases had a line with his name signature on it. So I decided instead of just leaving mine as one line, I'm going to go ahead and take a moment and design and decorate it with some different patterns as well. I went ahead and I grabbed some interesting colors of tempera paint, and I start out, yes, with a base color to begin painting on some of my leaves. You'll notice my three-dimensional leaves are getting colored painted in green, but I'm not going to leave them all as a solid green because remember Van Gogh's paint was put on with lots of different colors so that you could see a lot of his different brush strokes. So even though I'm starting with a green paint, I'm going to add on a few different highlights and colors as well. I also thought instead of just having some of my leaves three-dimensional, two-dimensional painted leaves might look really cool too. A nice variety from form as well as on paper. I love the way that the yellow looks with the green. I'm going to apply some of those same techniques when I start painting my Model Magic flowers. I like to start out with my base color of yellow, since a lot of my pictures had some sunflowers on it. But then I started thinking, now that my paint is still wet and I have a very light color on it, let's add some more dimension by adding some more colors to it. Oranges, reds, and browns might give this project a little bit more of a fuller, three-dimensional look. It makes the interesting part of your eye. You know, your eye just starts to go towards those flowers because they're not so flat. Instead of leaving your project as one solid color, think about ways that you could double dip your paint with orange and yellows together, oranges and pinks together, letting some of the yellow paint that's already onto the flowers blend and mix together with those colors as well. I noticed that the bottom of the paper didn't really match the top part with that oil pastel painterly look, so I wanted to give a little bit more texture onto my table. I also grabbed my oil pastels and wanted to shade it or make that vase look a little bit more 3D. And like Van Gogh, don't forget to put your name on it. Thanks for watching, everyone. Have a great day.